right, here we go. Check this out.
This is Whole Nother Level with Dwayne Lindo.
You know, frankly, I feel that we shouldn't even be talking about this. Simple as that.
Frank Mazzei.
Did they win the offseason in free agency? Yes. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Craig Cousin.
How can you not put Tom Brady number one on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks? Man, this guy's a legend. Rings speak.
And Eric Wilson.
I didn't know Eric was going to let you talk.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. I've seen enough Facebook posts to know that you're not a Giants fan. Let's go. And welcome to another edition of Whole Nother Level, alongside the great L. Bushman, the one and only Craig Cousin, and the sport expert that he is, Dwayne Lindo. This is E-Dub Eric Wilson in the building. Gentlemen, what's going on, man?
Not too much, man. Glad to be here as usual.
Happy Saturday, buddy. What's going on?
Yeah, I know. CC, what's up, man?
Good, man. Good. Football right around the corner. I can't be more excited. My Red Sox are doing very well, so things are looking up.
Well, we do this each and every Saturday on HNL3.com from 1 to 3 Eastern. Gentlemen, we got a bit of sad news again here in the world of sports. A man who passed away at the very young age of 67. Mr. Denny Green has passed on from cardiac arrest, and I was very shocked.
Right.
Because this is a guy who, you know, has had, in my opinion, one of the best sound bites in the world, referring to the Chicago Bears many, many moons ago.
And how many times have you heard that little tirade in the past day or two since Denny Green has passed? I mean, everyone wants to kind of emulate that meltdown that he had back in the day, but he'd surely be missed.
Yeah, I mean, he was head coach of the Cardinals at that time, I believe. And
it's the Chicago Bears game that put them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and he just came out there and just let loose. And
they are who we thought they were.
You gonna crown them, then crown them. But
let them off the hook.
But they are who we thought they were. I mean,
should be a great ringtone.
I'm guaranteeing you, that ringtone is probably on so many people's phones this weekend. It's crazy. I think that might try to top the notch with the whole Pokemon Go thing. Please tell me you guys are not a part of that.
Gosh, really? We're going.
No, I'm just asking.
Please,
all right, we're gonna keep the show going here.
Can check my phone. I guarantee you that that's not on my phone.
It's not on mine.
Even brought that up, but anyway.
Living in a time.
All right. We'll keep the show going. But gentlemen, as always, we are going to break down the AFC North today. A couple things to talk about, mostly football, really, including speaking of the AFC North, Le'Veon Bell. Let's start the conversation there today. Le'Veon Bell. Suspended 4 games because the brother can't stay off the weed. Has failed several drug tests.
What's going on with the Steelers? I mean, this is unbelievable.
The Steelers went from being a powerhouse to start the season, and then Martavis Bryant gets suspended for the entire season. Now you have Le'Veon Bell, a potential 4-game suspension, possibly up for appeal, which I don't think he's going to win. Obviously, we know the commissioner's passed in his decision making, so I don't think he's going to overturn this. You got to remember, Le'Veon Bell served a 2-game suspension for weed or substance abuse policy when he was smoking with LeGarrette Blount, when LeGarrette Blount got the 1 game. And now, so this is his second offense. There's reports out there that he didn't fail the drug test, but he actually didn't show up to take the drug test on multiple occasions, not just once.
Several.
And the thing with that is the people will actually track you down in that program. So it's not something that you have to set up and pay. They will actually come to wherever you're at, nationwide. They will come to you if you're on vacation. They'll come to you if you're in St. Louis, if you're in Florida. It doesn't matter where you're at. They will make it a point like, hey, I'm here for the next 24, 48 hours. Where can we meet? You got a pee in a cup. We're done. And he couldn't meet on multiple occasions. So, what does that say to me? It's basically like getting pulled over, taking a breathalyzer, or refusing to take a breathalyzer. You know what I'm saying? You're guilty.
My thoughts are, if you're Mike Tomlin, you're the upper brass of Pittsburgh, is it about time to maybe say, hey, next year we might have to take a running back because this continues on with this guy?
Well, I mean,
I know you love the weed
not,
and everything.
Not just him, but it's also, like you were saying before, Craig, look at LeGarrette Blount. I mean, he went from Pittsburgh to New England, And we don't know the full extent as to why, but I mean, it was the simple fact that he's not there anymore. Now you've got, you said Martavius Bryant out for the entire season. Now you're losing Le'Veon Bell for the first 4 games. I mean, this is a team who consistently in the AFC North we consider to be the odds-on favorite. But yet, year in and year out, at least over the past several years, there have been issues with these guys not being able to pass drug tests.
Well, the one thing that resonates with me is that, first off, let's say that they're smart by picking up D'Angelo Williams. But if he goes down, I mean, in those 4 games, they're basically screwed at the running back position. I don't know who was behind D'Angelo Williams.
You like Dre Archer there? Come on now.
I think he actually ended up getting cut in the offseason, if I'm not mistaken. But even so, I just don't think that they have really anybody besides D'Angelo Williams to carry the rock. We already know that Ben Roethlisberger has a history of getting banged up. So now if he goes down at some point or is limited in the first 4 games, you're already without Martavius Bryant, without Le'Veon Bell. That puts Pittsburgh in a hard situation. They've had issues with the offensive line staying healthy, and this is a team that I had picked to contend in the AFC is not looking really good right now.
Right.
As far as health, at least on the offensive end.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Cincinnati. I mean, with all these things going on in Pittsburgh, I think Pittsburgh was on a lot of people's tables favorites for the win. But now you have to look at Cincinnati and possibly, competing in the AFC North.
Well, here's the thing, too, you got to figure in. Last year, Baltimore did not have – they were not at 100%.
Joe Flacco, Steve Smith.
Exactly.
Right. Justin Forsett was down the bye.
So I really say with everything that's going on in the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, it's going to be a race in the AFC North between Cincy and Baltimore to see who is going to come out and win this division.
So you're saying Cleveland Browns have a chance?
With RG3, and we will definitely get to the breakdown of that a little bit later, what I will say to you is I see an improvement with the organization. I don't see them winning this division.
Let me ask you a question, guys. I know this is kind of like a hot topic, especially with the NFL, with marijuana and them trying to make it okay for players to smoke because medical marijuana is such a hot topic because it can cure ailments, it helps people get through injuries and stuff like that. If it does come out that he missed these violations because of marijuana, and I know Darth Vader himself, Roger Goodell, doesn't like marijuana. Do you think the NFL Players Association might put it in effect where, okay, now we should start looking into this, making it okay for players to use marijuana as a medicinal purpose? Because we know we have all these things with CTE, players abusing painkillers and whatnot. Do you think they might say it's time to look at this as a serious issue?
I think
we could bring it in.
Look, I think that's a legitimate question. I mean, and this is something you may have to, the commissioner and the league has to look into possibly down the future because you have unfortunately you have quite a few players that are getting busted for smoking weed, but using it as in different states, it's Oregon, California, various states throughout the country,
Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, you can go down the list. It's becoming legal just for medicinal purposes. So this is something that the league and the commissioner possibly may have to look into throughout the future.
Yeah, and the collective bargaining agreement, I think, is up in about 5 years. So I don't think any changes are within those 5 years because they're going to have to sit down and go, this is going to be an issue just like any other issue, unless they come up with unless they characterize it as a rule change, which I don't see that happening. The problem with it, and I actually do think that it's beneficial for medicinal purposes if it is held to that standard. But I think the players are going to try to abuse it. Okay, I have this pen, because that's what people do. And I think if you're held to a standard where you are a role model for a lot of people growing up as far as kids, and you want to get these kids to stay away from things like marijuana and other substance abuse type drugs, I don't think that they want their professional athletes associated with it. And I think that's the biggest gripe right now about it. And I think that, eventually maybe we'll get there, but I think there has to be pretty stringent protocol in place to make sure people aren't abusing, the likelihood of, is it medicinal or is it they're just saying it's going to be medicinal for pain relief. And I'm all with you, agree with you, Evan, about pain pills. And now you're seeing people that are just retiring. Calvin Johnson came out and was like, you guys have no idea how easy it is to get pain pills in the NFL. They just push it on you for everything. And I think that's ridiculous. It destroys your liver. It messes you up as a person. Tons of people get addicted to painkillers, so you've seen that over the years. The stories are coming out more and more. But what I think when I look at that is, if you're getting paid millions of dollars and you cannot stay off this stuff now, I mean, everyone at this table is not getting paid nearly that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we still have the choice.
Right.
Yeah, but you just mentioned it, Craig. These guys are getting paid millions of dollars to try to perform at a high standard. So whatever it takes, whether it be pain pills, excuse me, or marijuana, or whatever it takes to get the job done, so be it. That's what it seems like. That's from my eyes. That's what I'm looking at.
Well, they're also sacrificing. Okay, this guy knew he was going to get tested. He probably was using marijuana. Okay, he instead of getting suspended for a year, it's 4 games because he missed 4 tests probably. So
one per test.
One
Gotcha.
per test. One per test. So you look at it this way: these guys are using. They figure, hey, if I miss a test, I'm not going to get suspended like I did if I get actually caught.
Well, the way I understand the rule is that you get tested if you have never been caught. It's once a year, and it's within a 2-month span. And these players know that they're getting tested. So if they can't stay off of it for 2 months, then that speaks volumes to that person in general. Now, I also heard that it takes at least 2 instances of failed drug tests to even be on that list eligible for a suspension. So he's already been doing that once. Once you're on that list, then you get into the substance abuse program, which then that allows for more and more testing. So now he's subject to more and more testing, but clearly didn't make himself available.
If I'm Ricky Williams, I'm like, man, I could have done this back in the day.
Yeah, this is very
I've
true.
been smoking all the time.
Listen,
caught.
I agree with everything you gentlemen are saying, but what I will say is I go back to the very old adage. This is about, and the 2 words that I will use that I've heard Craig say is role model. Now, whether you want to be a role model or not, you're an athlete, and there are going to be kids, young boys, who are going to look up to you because they see your environment, where you came from, and they feel like, well, if he could do it, why can't I? So you have to set yourself on a whole nother level. You really do. And I completely agree with everything you gentlemen have said. From the people are going to abuse this privilege if it is given to them, which I don't think it should be. I feel like personally, you know what? You have plenty of time in the off season to be as stupid as you want to be, for lack of a better word. But between the opening of training camp until your season is over, be it the end of the regular season, be it because of injury, be it the postseason, be it the Super Bowl, you need to hold yourself to a higher standard. And unfortunately, I don't think that these things are being enforced. I feel like these are slaps on the wrist. Listen, I have nothing against Le'Veon Bell. I think he's a great running back. I think he is a very, top 25, 50 player in the NFL. But what I will say to you is if you fail several drug tests, and in my opinion, several is at least 4 to 5, 4-game suspension is not enough. And that's me. I don't feel it's enough. I feel like you need to be an example. Something needs to be done with you. Whether you sit out the whole year, whether, the Steelers organization loses money, loses draft picks, whatever the case may be, I feel like the suspension is not enough. Now, granted, it's a quarter of the season. It's the first 4 games. And yes, it could very well be the difference maker between them making the postseason and them sitting on the sideline. But he made that choice to do this. He made that decision. And when you've been given numerous opportunities and you still can't stay off it, clearly there's a problem. And there are plenty of organizations out there to help people who want to go get the help. But he doesn't want to.
I couldn't agree more. And when I look at this, I'm thinking, how many did he actually fail? Because it probably takes the 2 in order to get caught the first time.
He actually missed these drug tests.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And so he got suspended the first time, and now he got suspended for missing multiple. Then you look at guys like Justin Blackmon and Josh Gordon, which had failed multiple, and they're out the entire season. You're probably not going to see Justin Blackmon ever again. Hopefully Josh Gordon gets reinstated and can come clean. But Le'Veon Bell's on the next time he misses one, I'm guessing, or even gets test positive for it, he's going to be looking at a year suspension.
Right. And that's unfortunate.
At minimum at that point.
And so at that point, I have to agree with what Evan said to start this whole thing. If you're Mike Tomlin, when is enough enough?
But where's the discipline, too? That has to come down to him. He's the head coach.
Right.
You should be like, all right, come on, guys.
The Rooneys, the Rooneys
sit
are
down with Todd Haley because these seem to all be on the offensive side of the football. Now we all know that Mike Tomlin's a defensive-minded head coach. Is he spending too much time with the defense instead of enough time with the entire team? Because you look at LeGarrette Blount and then he left. Now you're looking at Martavis Bryant also on the offensive side. Le'Veon Bell, multiple infractions already, all on the offensive side. I can't remember a defensive player on that team getting in trouble.
Right.
That's just off the top of my head. Maybe
No,
there is some.
You're right. When you think of the defense, what do you think of? James Harrison. What was his biggest crime? Was the fact that he gave back his kids participation trophies.
Yeah,
and PEDs.
Oh, okay. All right. But when you think of the defense, the one guy that I constantly think of who's no longer with them is Troy Polamalu. That man was a class personified. He was a class act from start to finish. I mean, I heard stories about when they played in the Super Bowl here in Tampa. Of course, you're in the Super Bowl, so you had guys bringing all kinds of promiscuous women with them. Troy Polamalu brought his grandfather and, his family to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, that speaks to him. So
right, and then going back to Plaxico Burress, I mean, back to the offense, he his troubles that he got into before. So, I mean, you make a good point. I mean, defensively, I can't think of one player off the top of my head that had issues or serious issues that a lot of these offensive players are having.
Right.
Don't forget about Raplesberger, by the way.
Yeah, he
You're right.
He just has some good lawyers.
Clearly. All right, gentlemen. Well, with that, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, I definitely want to talk a little more because we've got two more, for lack of a better word, knuckleheads to really get into. One of those, I'm going to surprise you guys. I'm actually going to be siding with this person as opposed to against, especially for the team that he plays for. But that, and of course, we're going to get into our breakdown of the AFC North, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who we talked about, Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns, and of course the Baltimore Ravens. You are listening to us, Whole Nother Level, again every Saturday from 1 to 3 on HNL3.com. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Whole Nother Level, alongside the one and only Craig Cousin, Dwayne Lindo, Evan Bushman, L. Bushman, whatever your name is.
What's the matter with you over there?
Wow.
I know you're getting old and everything. God.
I just combined your names.
His birthday was, right around the
I know,
corner.
that's
a couple weeks off.
The big 4-0.
Yeah. Anyhow, back here on Whole Nother Level. All right, gentlemen, let's talk about another gentleman who apparently has had some troubles with, shall we say, I mean, it is what it is. It's domestic violence. He's being accused of it.
Can I say one thing? Can we go one off season without somebody getting smacked around?
No.
Or
apparently not.
I mean,
Clearly
Too
we
much
can't.
time.
Yeah.
They got too much time on their hands.
He has the number 1 jersey being sold right now in the NFL. He plays on the team that I can't stand more than anything else in this world. But he is the number 4 draft pick, one Mr. Ezekiel Elliott, who's being accused of domestic violence by his alleged live-in girlfriend.
Former
living girlfriend. Now, he has not been charged. He has not been arrested. The Dallas Cowboys are aware of the situation, and I guess they are waiting for this to unfold. But, again, we're talking about a young player in the NFL who has just gotten a boatload of money as the number 4 draft pick. I mean, did they actually sign him? He has signed the contract, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he officially is a Dallas Cowgirl. And now all of a sudden, he's being accused of domestic violence. And so I personally, before I pass judgment, even though it is the Cowboys, I want to see what comes out. I want to see the entire thing play out before I give my opinion. Because right now, I'm going to side with him and say, you know what? He didn't do it. And she's looking for a paycheck. I know there are a lot of people who are going to be like, I can't believe you said that with everything that's going on in the domestic violence world. But you know what? I have to be one to say I'm erring on the side of caution. And before I throw yet another brother into the system, I want to hear everything.
I mean, I noticed that you're giving him the benefit of the doubt, and I respect that about you, Eric. With that said, I'm going to say where there's smoke, there's fire, normally. I don't see why, she would come out, a living girlfriend, and just lie about it other than, yeah, she might want some money. But at the same time, common people aren't like that.
Right.
So I think that something had to have been there or something had to have led to that in most situations. I will say that Dallas has done a very good job within their organization of keeping a lot of things under wraps. There was a lot of bad negativity, issues surrounding Des Bryant for about 2 years, and nothing was really made. It's kind of like swept under the rug, to be honest, and they went away. They dealt with the whole Greg Hardy situation. I know you don't like bringing up that name, Eric, and neither do I, but with that said, there was a lot more to that situation than what was talked about even. And he ended up getting 10 games reduced to, 4 at that point?
10-4. Yep.
And that was another situation where I think, was he on video or he just went to court?
I don't think he was.
I don't think he was on video.
There's no video.
I don't think so.
He said, she said.
Exactly. But then again, there you go again. Dallas in the news again for something that in most cases shouldn't happen. And it's been happening over and over and over again with athletes, and with social media, it's becoming more prevalent. And I'm telling you, you need to stay away from it. Stay away from the negativity. Do what is right. I know I didn't get brought up to where I'm hitting women or having domestic disputes, and I'm sure that most people are exactly the same. So, ultimately you make your own decision. Stay away from Twitter. Stay away from Facebook. That's how you stay out of trouble.
Right. And, you hit the nail on the head. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Obviously, at this point, you have to give him the benefit of the doubt and let the process play out to make sure that he is innocent. Because, again, this is a kid who just got drafted, so he has a bullseye on his back. I mean, he could be accused of anything. But, I hate to say it, but, where there's smoke, like you said, Craig, where there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, normally you find these little bit of truths in these stories. So hopefully he's not accused of what he didn't do what he's accused of. So we'll see what happens.
Look, like I said, it's very rare for you guys, and you guys have known me for a while now. It is very rare for me to defend anybody who dons that blue star. But what I have become, and I have become a little bit jaded when it comes to these things happening around the world. I have to try and look at it from both sides. And normally, you three gentlemen are right. And I'll be the first one to admit, listen, I was raised by a single mother. So I know firsthand, you don't put your hands on a woman at all. I get that. However, what I'm saying is, before I jump to this conclusion and say, you know what, everybody was right, I'm not going to be that court of public opinion. That's the one thing I am not going to do. I want to see everything unfurl before I pass judgment. Because the old saying is, you can't throw stones at a glass house. And I'm not saying he's innocent, but I'm also not saying he's guilty. What I'm simply saying is, before I go on a tirade and say, this is disgusting, this is horrible, this is deplorable, I can't believe another man has made the just stupid decision and put his hands on a woman for some dumbass reason, before I get to that point, I want to know everything. Now, granted, make no mistake about it. If Ezekiel Elliott is guilty, oh, bye, bruh. Listen, I'll be the first one. But at the very least, I'm not going to jump into an empty pool head first. I'm just not going to do it.
I'm going to look at it this way. We have one of these, looks like every season.
Yeah.
Okay? And we're going to a guy just got drafted, got a lot of money. But he did the smart thing. He saved text messages. As long as you have a paper trail covering your tracks, I think you're okay. But of course, when there's smoke, there's fire.
Oh, of course.
Now, it may turn out this might be the one case where this girl could be nuts and she's crazy. And I'm hoping he's hoping that as well. And I'm sure Jerry Jones is as well, too, because he just gave a boatload of money to his #1 pick.
Right.
So, in a day and age of social media, I did see the photos of this woman that she had bruises everywhere from neck to wrist to shoulders and everything. I mean, they're legitimate bruises, so you never know what could have happened. There could have been an incident, but we never know. We'll never know until, of course, this will probably break in the middle of the season. He'll get suspended for who knows what that happened between those two. We never know.
It's just crazy. It's this team again.
Yeah.
Dallas has been in the news over and over again. They've for the last 3 to 4 seasons, they've dealt with so many injuries between Tony Romo basically every season, Des Bryant, his foot. I mean, the last thing this team needed is another big name, hoping that Ezekiel Elliott, they drafted him, which is having a breakout year, putting them back on the map. Because, outside of last year, 2 years ago, they went 13-3?
12-4.
12-4, exactly. And they had a shot to make it to the Super Bowl. Everybody was saying Dallas is finally back. They're trending up. Last season was awful, atrocious. And now they're back in the news again. Now, granted, am I surprised if this might be true? No, because I remember going back to Ohio State that Zeke did not represent Ohio State Buckeyes in like a high fashion at times. He was outspoken. He told, I think he threw, I don't even know why I can't remember the coach's name all of a sudden. Come on.
Urban Meyer.
There we go.
Wow.
I remembered it as soon as I said that.
And it's funny, I have a picture
So
with you with Urban
Thank you.
Meyer.
I was going to
That's not my
say.
Facebook profile.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Urban Meyer, he threw him under the bus at one point. So, he has been known to speak his mind, and maybe, she said something that he didn't like, and he spoke his mind. I'm not saying that, though. You said it first, Eric. Innocent until proven guilty. And let's just leave it at that. But let's just say that a lot of times when somebody says something and something's out there like this, there's substance to it. So,
one thing I have learned, where there's one incident that you do hear about, there's about a dozen more that you don't hear about. So, yes, this may start the domino effect, and he, in fact, may be guilty. Like I said, I go back to my original statement. I am not saying he's innocent. I am not saying he's guilty. Until I hear everything, I am erring on the side of caution, because many a times I have been quick to jump at something and then turn around and had to say, you know what, I made a mistake. And I feel bad that we have to talk about this, but what you gentlemen are saying is this is Dallas all over again. What I will say to you is this is the only reason that the Dallas Cowboys are relevant right now. I mean, Tony Romo can be healthy for all of preseason going into the regular season, but if a large gust of wind comes through Texas and knocks him over, he's out.
The sad thing about it is that's true.
You can just look at him.
Right.
It's a broken cycle.
So, I mean, looking at that, and I kind of want to move forward and move past this. We have to talk about it because it is news.
I'm looking at this girl on social media right now. I'm looking at her pictures. She looks like she's nuts. Okay, don't judge a book by its cover.
I know.
She is hot, okay, but still, she looks nuts. And,
Okay.
But you know what? If any man wears a half shirt to the draft,
Yeah.
Or in a half shirt. I think Eric was kind of digging it. I think that
Where
might
is
be
he?
why he's
No.
on his side, because it's probably on Eric's fantasy radar.
No, he's
Zeke Elliott, first
no,
round maybe this year.
no.
First round.
First
Cowboy.
round running back? No. Actually, you know what? Since for those who do know and those who don't, I'm about to educate y'all a little bit. This is my very first fantasy football that I'm doing this year. Again, shout out to my brother-in-law Russell, who is loving every single minute of this. The fact that I'm doing it, I've been asked to join like 4 other fantasy footballs since I came out of, basically
your hole,
came out the closet
Your
and
cave?
said I'm going to join the fantasy football world. I've been at
Let's
like
just
4
say
other
you came
people.
from under a rock.
Yes.
Whatever.
He was
Yeah,
living in old man time.
I was.
Technology.
And I've had to turn down people. I'm like, listen, I'm only doing 1 this year to get started.
one
Great,
becomes
Eric.
2
But-
and 2 becomes 4.
But Zeke is not what? What are we looking at here? I'm sure it's something about.
Oh,
me.
Ezekiel Elliott, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, because, E. Bushman had to bring up, oh, yeah,
Look.
she looks crazy,
Yes.
she's hot. So, I'm like, of course, I had to look that up. So,
I mean,
Dwayne's looking at
don't
us.
judge
Dwayne.
a book by its cover, but she
You
looks
know
But-
great.
and you know what?
Okay.
I have to say, I'm going to have to piggyback on what Mr. E just said. It's, again,
Yeah.
she looks
crazy.
She looks
She
crazy.
has
I hate to
crazy
say
eyes.
it, but hey.
She has the crazy eyes.
She has the crazy eyes, the crazy tongue ring. She
Oh, okay.
looks crazy.
All right. Well, anyhow, we're gonna move past her
Please.
right now and
Please.
simply say that time will tell. We shall see. But as of right now, let's see how things unfurl. All right, gentlemen. With that, I'll take another quick break, and then we will break down the AFC North. You are listening to us, whole nother level, right here on HNL3.com. And welcome back to Whole Nother Level right here on HNL3.com. We're going to get right into the breakdown of the AFC North, starting with the team that we talked about to start the show off, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Gentlemen, Pittsburgh Steelers, first 4 games, no Le'Veon Bell. Martavius Bryant out for a full year. This is a team who proverbially has won the AFC North crown year in and year out. What do we see this year with the Pittsburgh Steelers? I will defer to the sports expert that is Dwayne Lindu.
Well, we saw this season last year where Pittsburgh had quite a few injuries. Roethlisberger going down, quite a number of injuries. And they did fairly well. They made it to the playoffs. And with all the things we talked about earlier in the show, I still think that they will come across as a great team this year. I have them going 10-6, at least winning the first 3 games, but losing to the Chiefs in the 4th game. And they'll win this, and I feel they'll win this division. Yeah, Eric's shaking his head no, but I feel that even with Le'Veon Bell missing the first 4 games, Bennett not being gone for the season,
Martavius Bryant.
Martavius Bryant being gone for the season, I still think that this team will make the playoffs and win this division.
10-6.
Yes.
Okay. The one and only. What do you got for me?
Well, I think Dwayne was looking at my sheet over here.
Yeah, I'm copying.
I think you had the eye, the crazy eye, that we were talking about earlier.
What do you call me, Melania now? Or what?
No, I also got Pittsburgh finishing 10-6. I kind of put them in the same situation in the first 4 games now as New England because, obviously one of their star players is going to be out. And I think that going 2-2 is what I have them going in the first 4 games with no Le'Veon Bell, no Martavius Bryant. I had them losing to the Bengals and to the Chiefs. So, and actually both of those are home games that I have them losing. But I think if they can get out of that at 2-2, I see a couple other speed bumps. I have them one little losing streak, starting with October 7th. My New England Patriots are going to be lose to them at the Ravens and then also the Cowboys. So I have them going on a 3-game losing streak.
With their bye right in the middle.
Wow.
Yep.
October 23rd, actually.
The Ravens-Steelers games are always close games, division rival. I think a road game there, even though after their bye week, I think it's going to favor the Ravens, which are going to be a lot healthier this year. But then I have them picking up some steam, beating the Browns, Colts, Giants, Bills, and then winning 2 out of the last 3 of their games to finish 10-6.
So you have them losing to Eric's Eagles, the 3rd game, or you have them winning?
No, I have them beating the Eagles. I actually have them losing to the Bengals and the Chiefs.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately, I don't share your guys' 10-6, but I do have them winning. I have them winning the first 2 games, losing to the Eagles. Yes, you can clap your hands if you want to. And then coming back and winning the Chiefs. What you guys are not mentioning is they still have Antonio Brown.
Absolutely.
Because he's not, I think he's still on the roster,
That's
right?
why I got him at 10-6.
No, he is.
So, also pointing out, they're going to be missing Le'Veon Bell the first 4 games. They did quite well with D'Angelo Williams in the backfield. Now, Craig, as you pointed out the first half of the show, is if he goes down, and he has been prone to go down pretty hard, they really have nothing else to go in that backfield. But I think they're going to be okay. If Roethlisberger can stay healthy, as long as he gets good protection in the front, he'll be okay. I have them going 13-3.
Wow.
13-3?
Wow.
13-3.
With Le'Veon Bell being out the first 4 games.
I think they're going to be okay.
Wow.
So let me ask you this question: at 13-3, and we haven't covered every division or gone over everything yet, is that your number 1 seed in the AFC?
Number 1.
So
Actually,
you have
yeah.
the Pittsburgh Steelers
At number 1.
Number 1.
And then it's a tie between, I think, Houston and New England. I think he has Houston and New England at both 12-4. So
wow.
I was just curious to see if he had them at number 1. Yeah.
And you got to look at it too, guys. To reiterate, look at what Pittsburgh did last season with all the injuries they had. I mean, I don't think they'll go 13-3. Sorry, Evan, but I mean, I think they will. I mean, obviously, they will have a winning season.
And
without question.
as much as I hate the terrible towels and them taking over Gecko's here off of Fruitville Road,
Is that
Steeler Nation?
Is that where you go every Sunday?
No.
It's time to take a new spot.
I went there one time, and it was the last time I was there. Hearing them say "First down, Steelers" was one thing. So I do have them going 13-3.
Wow.
Right.
I am actually erring on the side of caution amongst all you gentlemen. I have them at 9-7.
Okay.
I feel this division is going to be one of those divisions like we talked about the AFC South. I think this division is going to beat up on each other. I really do. Now, I do have them, though, 5-1 as a division record because I really feel that the Steelers have to do something to resurge themselves within this division because the Cincinnatis of the world and the Baltimores of the world are right on their heels, saying if you slip up 1 week, we're going to take over this division. With that said, I still feel like a 9-7 record, someone has to come out of this division. I think it's going to be Pittsburgh, even with
so
the
you have them
4
winning the
games.
division at 9-7.
I do.
See, this is interesting because you got 13-3 finishing first, and you have them at 9-7, which, I mean, my thoughts are some of the wild card teams are going to be at 9-7.
Right, but someone has to come out of this division between the 4
But
teams.
I also have Pittsburgh winning the division at 10-6. And Dwayne, you had them winning the division.
Mm-hmm.
So we are all on the same level saying that they're going to win a division. We just have them at completely different records outside of Dwayne.
Yes, yeah. All right, well, we talked about him, he talked about him, and we talked about him. So let's go into the Baltimore Ravens as our next squad. Listen, Flacco is back. Steve Smith is back. Let me ask you, gentlemen, one quick question. Speaking of knuckleheads in the NFL or who've played in the NFL, Ray Rice wants to come back and play for a team and said he is willing to donate his entire paycheck to advocating domestic violence.
Wow, he really wants to come back.
He really wants to come back and play. Is that enough, you think, for Baltimore to say, come on home?
See, I don't think Baltimore would take the chance to re-sign him I think that he's doing all the right things, and I think it's really unfortunate that that video came out, because I know that if the video did not come out, then he would still be playing in the National Football League. Whereas Greg Hardy, no video to be seen, he's still getting a chance here and there. I will say that he has lost a little bit of tread in his tires. But with that said, he's been doing the right things, and I feel bad for him, because I don't think that was really him. I think that we've always talked about domestic disputes and domestic violence, and I truly believe, listening to everything that he said, that because he's doing all the right things, that was an isolated incident, and it was a bad incident. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
And when I said I wish there wasn't a video, I'm not saying I'm glad that there was, for everybody to come out and see that type of thing can happen, but just for him, messed up his entire career. He'll never be the same. Never be looked at. Before that, he was what was it? Hey, fiddle up the middle for 25, 45 yards against New England. I remember that. One interesting thing is if I had two people in mind that might give him a shot. And one of them was with the Le'Veon Bell situation. How interesting would it be for him to go to Pittsburgh for 4 games? Now, just give him a 4-game trial. If he has nothing left, then bye when Le'Veon Bell gets back. No harm, no foul. Or at least bring him to training camp and see. The other one, because just because he always does it, I was thinking Rex Ryan in Buffalo. And I know Carlos Williams is suspended for the first 4 games, the backup of LaShawn McCoy. And I could see someone like that giving him a shot. Completely shot in the dark here, but I thought those two teams might be interesting to see if they took a chance on him.
If you can get him at a discount rate and he's going to give everything to charity, and if you're to pitch for a running back, why not? Why not take a chance? And like we always say, America is a nation of gives second chances to everybody.
They are.
So
Yes, we are.
I would say, why not? I mean, you're going to get him at a discount price, depending how well he's been training and everything. I mean, you could stick him as a backup.
All right, really
if
quick.
You're in a real pinch, though.
Really quick, let's go around the table, and then we'll get to the breakdown. If you are the owner of a team, yes or no? Dwayne, do you give him a second chance? Yes or no?
I say no.
No, Craig.
I say in the right situation, yes.
You're the owner of a team right now. You have that decision to make. So would you do it? I'm asking you. Would you do it? Yes or no?
Yes, I give him another shot.
Evan.
I'm looking at it as a PR standpoint, yes, because you're giving all your money to charity. Probably battered women's shelters.
All right, well, Dwayne, you're the odd man out because I'm saying yes.
Well, let me give you my reason real quick.
No, go ahead.
The reason being is because, you have a Ray Rice that's been out of the league for how many years?
2 years.
3 years. Look, with all that he's done, we've seen it on video. Obviously, everyone's seen it. I just don't, as an owner, I just don't want all the baggage that comes with having Ray Rice on the team.
And that's why I said right situation, but when you forced me into it, then I said yes. But yeah, I mean, I think it would have to be the right situation. Maybe a team that hasn't been getting any publicity, like Evan just said, and that wants their name in the news and a little bit of hoopla around that team. And to be donating his salary to a great cause is only going to enlighten that franchise.
Right.
But I also think that, if there was a need there, number one, and then number two, it'd have to be a really stable locker room with a really head coach and a locker room that really could handle something like that. A lot of people couldn't even handle Tim Tebow being on the roster.
Okay.
Because all the circus that brought. So I mean,
he's all about Jesus.
All right. With that said, Baltimore, I've got them at 8-8, 2-4 in the division. I feel that this team has to get their legs out from underneath them. I don't see them really making a large jump in this division. Because, like I said, I feel that this division is going to be the division that everybody just beats up on everybody. So I have them finishing 500, 8-8, 2-4 in the division. With that, I'll defer to you, gentlemen.
Eric, I'm going to agree with you. I have them going as 8-8 as well. Were you looking at my paper?
Nope, I was not.
It's funny.
I wasn't.
I want to say one thing. I love this division because the Steelers and the Bengals hate each other so much. That is the 2 games out of the year I love seeing them just beat the crap out of each other.
Oh, yeah.
But I have the Ravens going 8-8 in the season as well.
All right. Great.
8-8.
Wow.
8-8 I have them at, and I piggyback a little bit with what you guys say, and I also look at it from a standpoint. I have them at 8-8 because I don't know how good this team really is right now. Are they? I know they're not as bad as they were last year, but I know that they're not. I don't think they made the strides to be as good as I think they can be where they were once as well. I'm looking at their schedule, and I don't know a lot about some of these teams on their schedule. I want to say that the Jaguars and the Raiders are going to be a lot better this year, so I have them losing to those 2 teams. But if they're not better, I could realistically see them winning the first 4 or 5 games if they're the old Ravens. So this is kind of a head scratcher pick, but I went with 8-8 because I still think the Steelers and the Bengals are better within this division.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to make this unanimous. Obviously I didn't copy off of anybody's paper, but
You
kind of
should love
looking through who they played throughout the season. I mean, obviously they're better than they were last year, without question, because of all the injuries they had last year. But this year they're going to do, I'd say at least win 3 or 4 more games. I'd say 3 more games. They went 5-11 last year, like I said. So they'll go 8-8. And again, looking at the schedule, there's 8 games I see them winning right off the bat.
Let me ask you guys this question. So Steve Smith saying he's going to come back. Obviously, I think it's going to be his last year, and I think he goes out with a bang. I want to get your thoughts on that, and I also want to get your thoughts on whoever wants to answer. Joe Flacco. What Joe Flacco are we going to see this year? Because we've seen a Joe Flacco in the playoffs, which has been completely lights out on the way to a Super Bowl run. And then we've seen a Joe Flacco that's kind of been like, nonchalant, throwing interceptions here and there, kind of banged up, and kind of just a mediocre. Like I would put him in a character, the same category as maybe a Matt Ryan right now.
I'm gonna go off that. I always thought Joe Flacco was a tier 2 quarterback. He was when he won the Super Bowl, he was with a team that had a defense, just like another guy did when they won the Super Bowl, Trent Dilfer. So I look at Flacco like that. When they gave him that huge contract, I'm shaking my head. I'm like, why? This is an average quarterback at best. The only reason why he won so much was because he had a great defense. I see him regressing again. He's getting older. He's getting more banged up. I don't see a lot of production out of him this year.
Yeah, I share the same sentiment. I was just going to say that, when he won the Super Bowl, I mean, he wasn't that great of a quarterback. I mean, he
actually didn't have a good regular season that year.
No,
he just went on a rampage in the playoffs and just launching bomb after bomb, which his receivers came down with.
Right.
And I think he had the most touchdowns over 50 yards of any quarterback in a playoff era run or something like that.
Right. But
yeah.
I mean, the thing is, here's the deal. I mean, this year is a make or break year for this guy, I think, because obviously, like we mentioned, last season wasn't that great of a season with all the injuries. They need to do something this year. I don't see them doing anything really. I see them being mediocre at best in this particular division. But again, for this quarterback, it's a make or break year.
I mean, who are his receivers to throw to right now? You have a super aging Steve Smith. They got rid of the player that they drafted to be the next good wideout over there.
You got Kamar Aiken and Mike Wallace.
And we've
Pretty
seen
much it.
We've seen what Mike Wallace is the last 2 years in Miami and in Minnesota. He wasn't the Mike Wallace everybody thought he was in Pittsburgh. I mean, can we all agree on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Kamar Aiken, he had a pretty good year last year for a tier 3, I would say. I think he's a wide receiver 3. So when I look at that roster, I'm a little concerned with what Joe Flacco has to work with. And like you said, Evan, I think he is on that second tier quarterback. So I really don't know what I'm getting.
I honestly look at the running back situation too. They don't really have anything that lights up. I mean, Forsett went down with a broken arm, but he was okay. But then you got Forrest Allen, and then you have Trent Richardson, which you put on your squad. Come on.
Well, they want to go through the Trent Richardson experiment.
Gentlemen, he already said he was going to go to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he did. Well, with that, we only got a few more minutes left. So let's go through the last 2 teams here. We got the Cincinnati Bengals up next. And, again, this is a team where you're not sure if you're going to have A.J. McCarron or if you're going to have Andy Dalton. I mean, I know what I'm getting from A.J. Dalton.
AJ Dalton,
yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, mix them both together.
Exactly, mix the 2 together. Andy Dalton, he, for the first time in a long time, well, actually in Cincy's history, actually won a playoff game. But they can't go past the first round of the playoffs. It's very rare. So for me, I look at this team, and again, they're going to beat up on everybody. I have them going 9-7 with a 4-2 division record, only because looking at their schedule. They play the Dolphins and the Cowboys. I think Tony Romo will be injured by week 5, so I have them winning those games. And then I have them going on a tear the second half of the season and actually winning from the Redskins, the Giants, the Bills. I think they'll lose to the Ravens. Y'all know how I feel about my Eagles. And then I think I have them winning the last 4 games. Browns, Steelers, Texans, and Ravens again. So 9-7, I think that'll push them into the playoffs, and I think they'll just battle it out for a wild card spot. I don't have them necessarily in the wild card spot, but I think they'll be in contention. It'll be one of those things if this team wins and this team loses. But I have them at 9-7, 4-2 record.
This team baffles me a little bit because I think what A.J. McCarron did in the postseason and the end of last season, I think they should have pulled the trigger on a trade, either with Andy Dalton or A.J. McCarron. Pick one, draft a quarterback round 2 or 3 because there was a lot of decent quarterbacks in the draft this year. And go ahead and get something for a quarterback that was probably going to be touted on in free agency.
Right.
You know, we still have teams wanting a quarterback right now. What's going on with Ryan Fitzpatrick in New York? We don't know. There's other teams that have taken chances. The Browns took a chance on RG3. What's going on in San Francisco? Is it Blaine Gabbert? Is it Colin Kaepernick? Nobody really knows yet. So I think that there was a market for an A.J. McCarron or an Andy Dalton. They didn't do either. They still have 2 quarterbacks on the roster. I think they're ultimately going to go with Andy Dalton to start because I think he's earned that over the last 4 years. But like you said, for whatever reason, this team can't get over the proverbial hump. Maybe one playoff win. They fumbled their way to a loss in the Pittsburgh game, and I see them being slightly above 500. I got them at 9-7 as well. I think they're going to be in the consideration or conversation, if you will, for possible wild card seeding, and that's where I got them.
You know, with the Bengals, I think Andy Dalton as quarterback has to start. I mean, he's proven himself for the last 2 or 3 years. And I have to piggyback on Craig here. It seems like a lot of us have the same outcomes for a lot of these teams. 9-7, I have the Cincinnati Bengals going. But going over the schedule, I mean, they have 9 wins right off the bat, so 9-7.
You see this team as a playoff team to win?
Well, I mean, maybe a wild card, but I see some of the teams in the AFC possibly winning double-digit games, so possibly no.
Okay. All right. Evan, last but not least, Cincinnati Bengals. What do you got them at?
First off, I want to say what blows my mind the most is how Marvin Lewis is still the coach of this team.
Amen. Hallelujah, brother. Give me something. Thank you. That is the one thing I have said year in and year out. How does he still have a job?
I say this every single year because
So do I.
I always lose in the playoffs,
Because he gets them there and it's Ohio.
and this guy still has a job.
He
Because
won't have a
because he
job.
gets in there
Listen,
and it's
he
Ohio.
won't have a job this year. You want to
No.
know why? Because LeBron brought a title home.
There you
Well,
go.
Bush, do you think he lost control of a lot of his players? I mean, it seems like that's been happening the past couple of years.
You know, I would say it's not because he lost control. It's just he just loses in the playoffs, and that has to do with dumb. Well, okay, last year that's a player thing. That's uncalled for, and I was really shocked that he still had a job after that game was over.
Talk about jobs, and Jeff Fisher still has a job. I think everybody's safe right now.
Sure. I like the Bengals. I've always liked them. I like their offense. I mean, you got AJ Green, you got Tyler Eifert, you got the 2-headed monster, Jeremy Hill and Gianni Bernard. I had them going 10-6. I had them making the playoffs. I like the Bengals. When they go into games, sometimes they just lose against bad teams, and that's what they always do. But I had them going 10-6. I like the high-powered offense of Andy Dalton behind center. And Craig, I'm going to go with you. I don't know why A.J. McCarron doesn't have some teams knocking on his door saying, "Hey, what's up, buddy? What's up, buddy?"
And I actually think that they might. The problem is that Cincinnati doesn't want to part ways at the moment. So they're heading in there with 2 quarterbacks that are both capable of starting, which, you know, some teams don't have any.
Right. I mean, in the event that, Andy Dalton goes down, I mean, obviously, A.J. McCarron has proven himself to be a great backup. So why get rid of that dynamic?
Because you can improve your team at another spot to where, obviously, if you look around the landscape of the league, if there's 15 or 20 quarterbacks that go down, those teams are basically screwed. And you can look at Cincinnati as one of them, but you can't play like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can still go and get a decent backup. There's still some. I mean, Mike Vick's wants to be a backup. Some people can still play, but you can get a second-round draft pick, a third-round draft pick for A.J. McCarron, or trade for somebody that might have a higher contract than that team is willing to pay for them at that current time. And and look to improve other areas of your team. That's what I would have done personally if I was in Cincinnati.
Because you're gonna have to look down the road. You got McCarron, you got Andy Dalton locked up until 2020. Okay, and there's gonna be a team that's gonna knock on Cincy's door saying, "Okay, you guys have A.J. McCarron. He's a pretty decent backup. We need a guy that can start for our team. I'm gonna offer him some money. What do you do?" So I mean, there's gonna be after this year. I think there's gonna be teams coming knocking after this year happens, and I swear to God, if they don't win after the first round, Marvin Lewis is gone.
He has to
Yeah.
be.
He's gone.
He has
This
to
is the
be
year
gone.
he's gone if he doesn't go past the first
Right.
round.
Speaking of make or break years for players or coaches in this case, I think this is it for Marvin Lewis if he doesn't make this happen for the Bengals.
But I'll tell you, this Cincinnati
Bungles.
Bengals team is one Pittsburgh Steeler injury away from definitely winning the division in my eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I
Pittsburgh
definitely
can't
agree.
afford to lose any more people before the season even starts.
I agree. All right, gentlemen, last team, and I guess fittingly we are calling them the last team here. Cleveland Browns, but they have a new look now, and they've got a new quarterback, someone who, has proven that he can be a viable threat on the field, not only with his arm, but also with his legs, and RG3, who is now in Cleveland as he's the starting quarterback. So, Cleveland Browns, What do we got for him?
You know, I think the seal is broken for the city of Cleveland, obviously, with the Cavaliers win. I think with RG3 at the helm now, I think, and the championship that Cleveland has now, I think every team in Cleveland will play a lot easier, and it's not like they have to try to go all the way. I say, you know, I don't think they're going to do that great this year.
I was waiting on this one.
Well, I mean, I say they go 6-10. That's what I have them at.
All right.
Is that being generous?
That's being very generous, in my opinion.
6
I
and
mean,
10. All right.
but I guess my point, the point I'm trying to make is that I think with RG3 at the helm, I think they get better within the next possibly 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
And if they make the right moves, obviously.
6 and 10. Craig, what do you got?
I have them. It's funny. I think me and Dwayne literally down the entire division have the same records. I have them at 6 and 10 as well, but I have them at 6 and 10, assuming that Josh Gordon comes back and plays for at least half the season.
Okay.
Because that will give RG3 a viable weapon, a top 5 to 10 receiver in the National Football League. Listen, if he doesn't come back and play, I'm looking at his targets over there. They let Travis Benjamin go. There's not much around RG3 in Cleveland. There really isn't.
Okay.
You have Gary Barnidge, which played well at the tight end position last year. You have a running game that's been improving steadily. Their defense is definitely pretty decent, but they also have to contend with all the other teams in that division. So I'm putting them at 6 and 10. I think I'm being a little generous here. I'm going to give RG3 a little chip on his shoulder. I think he's going to play better than what people think. But I just think in order for him to really succeed, they got to put some more weapons around this guy. And I don't really think that they did a good job doing that. Granted, I think they drafted a couple of decent players, but we'll see how they pan out because they're rookies.
All right.
I'm not going to be as generous as you two. I know everything's awesome right now with Cleveland because the Cavs won. The Indians are doing fantastic, by the way. I just don't see with the Browns 3 and 12.
13.
3 and 12.
And a tie?
Oh, I'm sorry. 3 and 13.
3, 12, and 1.
13.
Yeah, 12 and 1. I was like,
What is it, Cleveland?
and you say I'm the one
They
that
actually
just
just
forgot about
it wouldn't surprise me, though.
3
3, 12, and 1.
3 and 13.
Basically, what Evan's saying is they won't even show up for the last game.
And they might not. And I'm basing this off because RGP. This guy is Mr. Glass. Okay, just like Tony Romo, a gust of wind can get him hurt. Okay, I just don't see improvement. I know you bring him in. He's a proven winner in Washington for that one season. That's a one season that could have gone a better way.
Right. No, I get it.
It's the Browns, okay? It's the Browns. You can add RG3's name to that long list of quarterbacks. I know they took it away when LeBron won the title for the Cavs, but you can just add him to the list. It's the Browns.
So he's just going to be another.
Just another name on the list.
Wow.
3 and 13. Yes, 3 and 13. No time.
Wow. Well, I guess I'm the only one giving them a bit of a saving grace this year. I said they would go 7 and 9. And I only have them 1 and 5 for a divisional record. I have them at the bottom of the barrel as far as the division goes, but I have them at 7 and 9.
Who you have them winning against?
I have them.
So let me go down the list real quick then, because so you have them 1 and 5 in the division itself.
Yes.
But then at the Eagles, I know that you picked the Eagles.
Yep.
I mean, do you think that they're a better team than you think they're going to win at the Dolphins?
Yes.
At the Redskins?
Yes.
Those are hard road games to win. I mean, I think they could beat Tennessee at Tennessee, but some of these other games, the Cowboys.
Yes.
I
have them.
I just don't see it. The Chargers.
Here are the games that I have them winning, and you can argue whatever you want. Here's the games I have them winning. I have them winning their home opener against the Ravens. It's always division games, throw everything out the book because you never know what's going to happen. I have them winning against the Dolphins in Miami. I have them beating Washington in Washington. I think Washington's going to get a full head about themselves, and fool's gold, which you mentioned about my team, I think is going to fall on the Washington Redskins. I have them losing to the Patriots. I have them beating the Titans in Tennessee. I have them losing the next 2. I have them beating the Cowboys because they're back home. I have them losing to the Ravens, losing to the Steelers. Dwayne, sorry, I have them beating your Giants because come November, after Thanksgiving, I don't know what the Giants are going to look like, especially with that defense. And if RG3 is healthy, barring injury, as always, I feel he knows the Giant defense. He's played against it. And we still don't even know what to look for because they were the 31st ranked defense in the NFL last year.
Yeah, look, I had the Giants winning that game, but that wouldn't surprise me at all if these guys came up with the upset.
Now we're going into December. I have them losing to the Bengals, losing at Buffalo, San Diego, again, Christmas Eve. We never know what San Diego's going to be like, and they haven't done much. So I have them winning that game, and then I have them losing January 1st to the Steelers. Those are the 7 games. And I'm looking at this saying to you, Cleveland is not on the up and coming, but they finally have a solid quarterback. And he has someone who believes in him. And that's what was needed, which is why I gave them 7 wins. Listen, I could totally do 6-10. 3-13? I'm not so sure. I just don't know. Now, injury happens and RG3 goes down, like you say, a gust of wind hits him and he falls over like glass, then yeah, clearly they're going to be cellar dwellers. 2-14, 3-13. You might be on point. However, this guy hasn't played in over a year and a half. I think he's ready. And I think he's got something to prove. He's playing with a huge chip on his shoulder. So that's why I say 7-9.
I mean, I guess I could see it. Here's what I look at when I look at Cleveland. I think of, best case scenario where I see this team, 500. Best case scenario this season. Worst case scenario, probably where Evan has him.
3-13. No, I get it.
So neither of those
I
would surprise me.
totally get it.
Neither of those would surprise me. Now, would it surprise me if they have a winning record this year? Absolutely. It would
Oh my
surprise me.
goodness. Yeah, they would be the overachievers of this NFL season.
I gave them 3-13 only because if he goes down, your best option is Josh McCown. And look what happened when he was under center.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's no different than saying when Tony Romo goes out, they had to replace him with Matt Castle. They had to replace him with Kellen Moore. They had Brandon Whedon.
What I don't understand is if you're a Cleveland Browns and you know that you don't have a lot of weapons for RG3 right now, why are you not going after a person like Anquan Bolden that's sitting out there and he's a tough receiver, still has a little bit of legs left. Andre Johnson's still out there. Granted, he didn't have a great season with the Colts last year, but who did?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm kicking tires on both of them. I'm bringing them into training camp. If I'm starting week 1 with Andre Johnson on one side, Anquan Bolden, and maybe 1 or 2 rookies with Gary Barnes, and RG3 in the backfield, I'm kind of okay with that situation for the first couple of weeks and see what happens.
See, with that, I'll give them 6-10.
So with that roster, you would give them 6-10.
With that, I would give them 6-10.
So that's what needs to happen.
Because you're giving him more weapons to work with.
Okay.
Well, I'm saying, why aren't you doing this if you're Cleveland?
I don't know.
This irritates me more than anything. These teams think they're a quarterback away, but when they finally get their superbly quarterback, they don't put anything around him.
Right.
That really irritates me, and it happens. It's not just for Cleveland. It's happened.
Other
many
teams
times
have done it.
around
Listen,
the league.
we said the same thing about San Diego. Name one other person besides Phillip Rivers on the San Diego Chargers team who's going to have an impact.
This year they have some decent players. Keenan Allen will come back from his last-rated kidney. He had a good rookie year. You brought Travis Benjamin in, but yeah, you're still relying on Antonio Gates. You let Ladarius Green go to Pittsburgh,
Right.
So which we didn't even talk about when we went over Pittsburgh, but I think that's actually a good pickup for them.
We shall see. As always, time will tell,
Yeah.
and we shall see. All right, gentlemen, with that, we're going to go ahead and ride out of here today. A little early, but a couple things going on. Listen, everybody, check us out, HNL3.com. We got a lot of stuff going on, and we have our big event happening August 20th, 1989 Ringling Boulevard, the Office Bar, Sarasota. We will be doing a live remote from there. We're going to have some gift cards. We're going to be doing, hopefully, the Evie's food truck will be there for us. We're going to try and work on some drink specials, but come check us out. Meet the crew, whole nother level. Again, August 20th. That's a Saturday. Normal time, 1 to 3, 1989 Ringling Boulevard, the Office Bar, Sarasota. For the sports expert, Dwayne Lindo, the one and only Craig Cousin, the great Al Bushman. It's your man E-Dubs, Eric Wilson. And until next week, we have taken you to a whole nother level. We'll see you next time.
Chief, mate, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Autobots, transform and roll out!